Hello and good morning, everybody. We hope that you have had a really good half term and that you've been able to do some different activities this week as you've not been having to do homeschool.
A few days ago now, it was Pancake Day on Tuesday, wasn't it? Shrove Tuesday, and we maybe overindulged a little bit in pancakes. We had pancakes with mushrooms, we had pancakes with garlic mushrooms, we had cheese on our pancakes, we had smoked salmon on our
went a bit
pancakes.
posh.
And then we went on to sweet pancakes where we had lemon and sugar and chocolate sauce, even some caramelized bananas and squirty cream.
Squirty cream. And we also celebrated Pancake Day or Shrove Tuesday with some of you over Zoom. We tossed some pancakes, didn't we, Robin?
Yes.
I think the most we got to was about 10, and I think that was Harry.
I think Harry
that was
won
Harry.
the tossing.
I think Harry
yes,
won
he
because
did.
he
Well
got
done,
it the
Harry.
most. We also had a scavenger hunt led
Yep.
by Teal. Hilary gave us a quiz where we learnt quite a few things
Yes.
about shriven. So if you don't know what shriven means, get in touch and we'll explain it to you. We also made pancakes and we decorated them into faces, didn't we? Some of us used chocolate, some of us used squirty cream, some of us were a little bit healthy and used fruit. But let's have a look at some of the photographs that you made.
Some photographs from Tuesday.
As for me and my house, as for me and my family, as for me and my children, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, as for me and my family, as for me and my children, we will serve the Lord. In this family, we're going to do things properly, read God's word every day, and then we'll try to pray. Although we get it wrong, we will still carry on. Make Jesus number one in this place. In this place, we're going to say grace. As for me and my house, as for me and my family, as for me and my children, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, as for me and my family, as for me and my children, we will serve the Lord. In this family, we're going to do things properly, leave God's word every day, and then we'll try to pray. Although we get it wrong, we will still carry on, make Jesus number one. In this place, we're going to say grace. As for me and my house, as for me and my family, as for me and my children, we will serve the Lord.
You can probably gather what we're going to be doing now because we've both got our happy birthday hats on, and I found the happy birthday sunglasses. And the sun is actually trying to shine at the moment.
That's
so
good.
maybe I need them.
We've got 2 birthdays this week, and both of them are on the same day. But they're not related and they're not twins.
No.
The first one is Ashwin. He will be 6 on the 24th of February.
And then we've got Isla, who's going to be 3 also
On the 24th.
on the 24th of February.
And I've got my trumpet.
Okay.
So let's do the birthdays.
Sing it soft, sing it loud, sing it just for you. Oh, sing along, happy birthday to you. May Jesus be with you all day through.
Ashwin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And
Isla,
Isla, 1, 2,
3.
May Jesus be with you all year through. Let's give them a big round of applause. Sorry you're having a lockdown birthday, but we hope that you do manage to celebrate, that you get lots of birthday messages and some lovely gifts and maybe yummy cake.
Maybe.
Yes, okay.
Now, the other day, Rachel and I, in fact, Rachel cooked some bread.
You did help a little.
I did a little,
Did help
yes.
a little, yeah.
Let's have a look and see how we made it.
This week we're going to be making some bread. I've already washed my hands, and as you can see I've got on my apron and my cook's hat. So to make bread you will need 500 grams of strong white bread flour. I've already weighed mine out. The recipe says you will also need 2 teaspoons of salt, but I've actually done a little bit less than that because that sounds a little bit like too much to me, but that's what the recipe says and I've weighed it out there. I need a sachet of fast acting yeast, and it says it should be a 7-gram sachet, but there's my sachet there. We'll also need 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 300 mils of warm water. So what we do to start with, we've got my flour in the bowl and I add the salt. That's one of the dry ingredients. So add that in there, make sure it's all in. Then I pour in the yeast, pour that over there. Make sure it's all out. And now I'm going to give it a stir round to make sure it's all mixed together. I think that should do it. So now it says to make a sort of well in the centre. So you just push all the flour to the outside and make that little dip in the middle. And then you add the oil, which I've already measured out. So just pour that in there. That was 3 tablespoons of oil in there, of olive oil. And then it says to add the water. Pour the water in the middle as well. Does look like a well, all the liquid in the middle with the flour around the edge. But then what you have to do is to stir, to mix that all in together. Now, once you've mixed all that ingredients together, what you need to do is to lightly flour your work surface or a board. I'm just using my work surface. I'm going to just open that up and just sprinkle some flour over the work surface. Now, this is the exciting bit about making bread by hand, because you could put all these ingredients inside a bread machine and let the bread machine do it all. But I thought it's more exciting when you can do it by hand. So you scrape everything out of your bowl there and this is called kneading. So you start doing this with your bread, and any of the dry bits which haven't yet been incorporated could get incorporated at this point. So just keep kneading, and you need to do this for about 10 minutes. So, after about 10 minutes of pummeling and kneading your dough and putting it in together like this, it should be quite smooth. There should be no lumps in it and everything should be incorporated. What you need to do is take another bowl, and that needs to be lightly oiled with some oil. Don't know if you can see, but I did that earlier. It's got a little gleam on it. So what you now do is put your dough in the bottom of there. And then you need to get some cling film. So I've got some roll of cling film. What you then do is put that over your bowl. And that should, if you've got decent cling film, cling to your bowl. And then you need to go and put that somewhere warm for about an hour. If it's a sunny day and you've got a place in the kitchen where the sun is shining in, maybe you could put it there. Maybe you could put it close to a radiator. Or if you've got an airing cupboard, you can pop it in there, which is what I'm going to do with mine. Now, if you remember, I don't know if you can see it from there, but there, look, that has doubled inside and it's quite squishy. Now, put some more flour on your work surface. Now what you need to do is to tip this out onto there, and you need to punch out all the air. So keep bringing it in on itself. It's going to get smaller again. Okay. This is the exciting bit. You're actually allowed to punch it. Bring it in on itself again. Punch, 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 punch. Put it into a ball, or if you're going to put it into a bread tin, just make it, if it's an oblong, just make it into a bit of an oblong shape. Make it into a sort of ball shape. I'm going to pop it onto my baking tray. Let's bring this over here so you can see. Because I'm hoping that I'm going to get a nice round loaf. Now I just need to get a knife, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with the knife. Sharp enough. I'm just going to make a sort of cross. Just sort of score it along there, so that's the cross. Now what I need to do is to go and put, again, that somewhere warm. It's called proving, and again that takes about an hour. So I'm going to put a lid over the top. I think it should give it a chance to rise. Plenty of space there. Put that somewhere warm, and again I'll see you in about an hour and see what's happened to the loaf. Okay, so I've just taken it out of the airing cupboard for the second time. I haven't taken the bowl off yet, so I don't know what it's like underneath there. But about 15 minutes ago, I popped the oven on to warm it up. Oh dear, oh, it's quite, oh no, it has come out. Wow. I think that has kind of doubled in size. I can't really see my cross shape anymore, but there we are. Now my recipe says that I should dust it with a little bit of flour before I pop it in the oven. So I have got one of these little things. So if I pop a little bit of flour in, just in the top there, and then shake that, it just dusts it with flour. Can you see? There. Fingers. So what I'm going to do now is to pop it in the oven, and it says it should be in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. So off we go. Let's see. See you again in about half an hour maybe. You're going to watch me put it in the oven. I'm going to pop it in the middle. There we are. Here we go. Close the oven. Well, the bread has been in the oven for about 25 minutes, and so I think it's about time I checked it. Are we ready to see what it looks like? Do you want to come around here, Robin, and see me open the door? Oops. Wow. Look at that. Yeah.
Yep.
So now what I need to do is to take it off this baking tray and to put it onto the wire rack to cool. Now that is too hot to eat at the moment, so when it's cooled off we'll let you know what it tastes like. Well, and here is the bread that we made. Some of you may have seen at the end I took it out of the oven. It's now cooled off. Can you see it there? There. It's quite big, isn't it, Robin?
It's massive.
It's massive.
It is. It's bigger than the loaf you might buy in
It's
Tesco's.
bigger than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to cut off a slice.
Okay, you cut
and
away.
have a-
I'm wondering what bread has got to do with our story this week and how it connects. I don't know if you've got any ideas. What might we be doing with bread? It's not actually a story you might think. It's a story which has got bread in it, but maybe not one of the ones you're thinking of.
Do you want to have a smell?
I'm going to have a taste. I don't really like butter on my bread so much, so I'm just going to eat the bread. Ah.
Actually smells really good.
It's nice. It's cold because it's cooled off.
That's actually a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be.
And it is good.
Sorry, children.
So, a couple of weeks ago.
I'm just trying not to speak with my mouth full.
Okay.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago we heard about Jesus' baptism. He went to the River Jordan. He was baptised by Jesus. He wasn't. He was baptised by John the Baptist. Bread has gone to my head. And at the end of the story, we heard a voice of God saying, "This is my son, with him I am well pleased." And we also hear about a dove that comes down. But then I wonder what happens next. What did Jesus do after his baptism?
Let's find out. Have you ever watched one of those television programs where people, quite often normal people, or maybe celebrities, they get tested? Something happens. Maybe they have to, let's think, eat something horrible. Maybe you've seen that program. Or maybe they have to do a challenge. They have to survive on an island. Or maybe they're hunted down and they have to hide. Anyway, before Jesus could start his mission on earth, he had to do some tests a bit like that. He had to go out into the desert and survive all on his own, with no one else to help him. Just him and the desert, or maybe a wilderness you might call it. Anyway, whatever it was, there wasn't much to eat. There was nobody else around to help, and he was all on his own. He had to be there for 40 days, so he must have got very tired and very hungry. There was also a danger that wild animals might have attacked him. Possibly not during the day, but he would have had to sleep at some point. It can't have been easy. It must have been a very tough time. Now, to make matters even worse, he had to undergo 3 further tests. Let me read about them to you. The first test went like this. Jesus, who I've said must have been very hungry, was tempted by the devil to turn rocks into bread so that he could eat them. It was a difficult test. When you're really, really very hungry, you're desperate for food, and the idea of just magicking a rock or a miracle on a rock, turning it into bread so that you could eat, must have been very tempting for Jesus. But Jesus remembered God's words. It takes more than bread to stay alive. We need to have the whole of God's life-giving words. And he didn't turn any rocks into bread. The second test was like this. Jesus found himself on top of a temple in the city. And the devil said to him, "Make a spectacular jump. Go on, jump off. And God will send his angels to protect you. You won't even stub your toe when you land. The angels will protect you, and all the people in the city below will see it happen and they'll think, you must be the Son of God." Jesus thought for a moment, and then he said to the devil, Remember these words. Whatever you do, don't test God. So I'm not going to be jumping off testing that God will send his angels to save me. That's not what I'm going to do. The third test went a bit like this. Jesus walked up on the rocks, higher and higher. And he got to the point where he was overlooking vast amounts of land. Sea, land, fields, towns. He could see for miles and miles. And the devil said to him, look, you will be in charge of, you can have all of this if you just worship me and not God. Jesus responded to the devil. He said, there's only one God. Worship God. He is the Lord of heaven and earth, and he is the only God we must ever worship. So I'm not going to be worshipping you ever. Jesus knew he already had all the power. He could turn bread into rocks. He knew he didn't have to prove that he was the Son of God by leaping off of a high building and being caught by angels. Jesus knew that God would keep him safe from wild animals. So although it was very tough for him, eventually he passed those tests.
Hope you enjoyed hearing that part of the story. At the end of Jesus' baptism, not only do we hear God's voice affirming who Jesus was, saying that he was his beloved Son, we see the Holy Spirit descending on him in the form of a dove. This is a pattern that we often see in baptism. The moment someone is baptized, they can truly feel loved by God. Know they are his precious child, that they are loved by him. And then they can be filled with the Holy Spirit, although we don't usually see doves descending from the sky on them. I can tell you from my own baptism, when I reaffirmed my baptism vows, that I actually did really feel uplifted after my baptism and that I was filled with God's Spirit. However, we heard Robin tell us from the Bible story that the affirmation that Jesus got, he then went into the desert and he was challenged by the devil. The devil deliberately questions what God has said to Jesus, and he tries to make Jesus use promises from the Bible for his own good. But Jesus resists all the temptations. Sadly, we often give in to temptations, even when we have told Jesus how much we love him and that we want to follow him and live for him. But we do know that when we come to Jesus and say that we're sorry, he will forgive us because he loves us so very, very much. We often hurt people. We often say things that will upset people, and these all hurt God. So we now are going to say sorry for everything that we've done so we can have a fresh, clean start. Please join with me in our prayer. Lord Jesus, thank you for the encouraging story in the Bible, telling us that you know what it feels like to be tempted. We are sorry that we often give in to temptation, saying, thinking, and doing things which hurt people, which we know also hurts you. Please help us to be strong and say no whenever we are tempted. Amen.
When I have done things that I know were wrong,
Well, we hope that you are using the Lent packs that we have delivered to all your houses and using some of the materials in there. We also hope that you're going through the book Meals with Jesus and using those devotions on a Monday to Friday. Or maybe you're joining Grace tonight at 4 p.m. on YouTube as we discuss what some of those readings are about and how it can affect our lives, and leaving you food for thought.
That's all for Footprints for this week. But I hope you managed to get around to making some bread. It's good fun and it's certainly worth eating afterwards. And also I hope that you continue thinking and talking about Jesus in the wilderness and how Jesus got tempted. And what did he do when he got tempted? Please join us again next week when we will be making something fishy. Does that mean we're going to be cooking fish?
Wait and see.
Okay. I remember ages ago we once had fish with footprints, and we had real fish, and we cut real fish heads off.
And we cooked outside on
We
the barbecue.
cooked them on the barbecue.
Sadly, we won't be doing that next
not this
week.
year. Maybe later in the year.
Yeah. Okay, when we can all back meet together.
So until next week, it's goodbye.
Take care and God bless.
Cheerio.
Jesus is the King, ruler over everything. Jesus is the one, promised on the Son of God. Jesus is the Lord, he's the one you can't ignore. Jesus, he's the King. He's the King. He commanded the fishermen, hey, come follow me. And they did, and they did, and they did, because Jesus is the King, ruler over everything. Jesus is the one, promised all the Son of God. Jesus is the Lord, he's the one you can't ignore. Jesus, he's the King. He's the King. He commanded the evil ones, hey, come out of him. And they did, and they did, and they did, because Jesus is the King, ruler over everything. Jesus is the one, promised for the Son of God. Jesus is the Lord, he's the one you can't ignore. Jesus, he's the King. He commanded the wind and waves, hey, be still, be still. And they did, and they did, and they did, because Jesus is the King, ruler over everything. Jesus is the one, promised for the Son of God. Jesus is the Lord, he's the one you can't ignore. Jesus, he's the Lord. He promised that 3 days after death he'd rise again. And he did, and he did, and he did, because Jesus is the King, ruler over everything. Jesus is the one, promised from the Son of God. Jesus is the Lord, he's the one you can't ignore. Jesus, he's the King.